How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. You may have already heard, but the Lakers are reportedly interested in trading for Jeremy Lamb. Jeremy Lamb is a shooting guard, small forward combo who currently is under contract with the Indiana Pacers. And in today's video, we'll talk about whether or not the trade rumors actually hold any truth, how they could possibly make the trade work, and if it were to hypothetically happen, what Jeremy Lamb would bring to their team, but beginning with the origin of the actual rumor. The report comes from J. Michael of the Indianapolis Star, and from there, it has gained a lot of traction, being reported on by popular news outlets like Bleacher Report. However, there have been very little details provided about the actual trade, which does make it a bit hard to believe. And the likelihood of the Lakers completing a deal with Indiana for Jeremy Lamb in a straight-up trade is very low. Lamb will be making $10.5 million next year, and the Lakers do not have a contract to match that with, other than Talen Horton-Tucker in a straight-up deal. And obviously, the likelihood of them trading THT is very low, and even lower when the player they will be getting in return is Jeremy Lamb. With that, Talen is not even eligible to be traded until mid-December anyways. In fact, none of the players that they signed in free agency are eligible to be traded until then either, which leaves only LeBron, AD, and Gasol, four players who are eligible to be traded right now. We all know LeBron and AD would not be included in that trade, and while they would likely not be unwilling to part with Gasol, his contract would not match the value of Jeremy Lamb's contract in a trade. So, unless they would wait until mid-December to make a trade happen, there is no way that the Lakers would currently be able to make a trade for Jeremy Lamb without including a third or fourth team, which is where things could get very interesting if they actually are interested in acquiring him. More likely than not though, Indiana may be trying to use them as leverage to garner more interest for Jeremy Lamb on the trade market, and it's not unusual for that to happen. In fact, it's the reason why the Lakers are included in practically every rumor that involves a potential player becoming available in the NBA. But if they actually do want Jeremy Lamb right now, they would need to get multiple teams involved in a trade. It would be impossible to predict what third or fourth team might get involved to help a trade like this one go through, but that is what it would take for it to work. And if we are looking at the trade from the Lakers' perspective only, should they even want to get involved in a complicated trade for Jeremy Lamb? The answer to that question will depend on how highly you personally view Jeremy Lamb, but at the end of the day, it's not like he is a must-have player or anything. I will say that he does fit their current need of a 3-and-D wing player, but I'm not sure he would be worth all of the trouble that it would take to acquire him. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is a quality wing player, and he probably would fit well on their team, but again, would it actually be worth it? Lamb averaged about 10 points per game last year, while shooting 43.5% from the field and a career high of over 40% from the three-point line. However, he was only able to play in half of their total games. He was coming off tearing the ACL in his left knee in the prior year, and it took him about a year to recover. There are questions about his ability to stay healthy, and if he can revert back to being the player that he was before the injury, because while he did play fairly well after returning to the court, his game has always relied on his athletic ability. Before the injury, he was known for his great athletic and leaping ability, which was one of the main highlights of his game on both offense and defense. He used athletic ability to attack the rim on offense, to shoot over taller defenders, and to help him while defending too. And while I do believe he will be able to revert back to being the player that he was on offense, especially if he can continue to shoot the ball at a high level, I do question about whether or not he will be able to get back to being the defender that he was. Oftentimes, a serious injury like an ACL or an Achilles tear will affect a player on defense much more than any other part of their game. And for a player like Jeremy Lamb, who relied heavily on his lateral mobility to defend as opposed to being a physical defender or having a height advantage, that could potentially really hurt him. Again, I am only speculating here, but there are legitimate questions about his ability to revert back to being the player that he was before the injury. Although he is still only 29 years old and technically should be in the prime of his career, hopefully the injury did not rob him of reaching his peak potential, but it definitely will challenge him. And those are all questions that a team like the Lakers would need to consider before trading for him. But hypothetically, let's say they would find a way to trade for him, what would he bring to their team? Well, as we already briefly talked about, he was a good defender prior to getting hurt and would fill their need of a 3-and-D wing player. And while his three-point shooting may be a little bit streaky, his three-point shooting seems to be improving over time. In the 82 combined games that he played for Indiana, he has shot a little under 37% from the three-point line while attempting 3.5 per game. Not great, but good enough to be referred to as a 3-and-D player, but the main attraction here would have to be from his defensive ability. Prior to getting injured, he rounded out as an above-average defender who could defend multiple positions. He has good height to go along with his great length and athletic ability, which allowed him to defend positions 1 through 3, and a player like that has been rumored to be what the Lakers are currently looking for. And while I believe it would be a lot easier to instead add James Ennis to their team through free agency, I do get where their interest in Jeremy Lamb would come from. He would without a doubt be an upgrade over Ennis, but then again, in order to acquire him, it would involve having to make a complicated trade. But if they feel that they truly need a more productive 3-and-D player than Ennis, then maybe Jeremy Lamb would be worth it to them. Personally, I don't think they have a big enough need to warrant making a trade for, but maybe they feel differently. And with Jeremy Lamb being pretty much the only 3-and-D wing player on the trade block right now, who knows, maybe they actually are looking into what Indiana would want for him. But if we are looking at this objectively, it is much more likely that Indiana is trying to link the Lakers to Jeremy Lamb in order to garner more interest in him and gain leverage from other teams. And I mean, I cannot totally blame them for doing that either. When the Lakers get involved in something around the NBA, people tend to start paying attention to it, and if Indiana is trying to get the most that they possibly can in a return for Jeremy Lamb, which they are, they need to make him as attractive of a trade target as possible. In conclusion though, while I do believe Jeremy Lamb will be traded, I do not believe that he will end up with the Lakers. They could not complete a straight up trade for him right now, and in order to acquire him, it would involve a complicated 3 or 4 team trade, and with that, they really do not need him either. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that the rumors hold any truth about the Lakers wanting to trade for Jeremy Lamb, or do you think they're completely untrue? Let me know your thoughts by commenting down below, and we can talk about it there. That will do it for this video though. Thank you to everyone who took the time to watch until the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please remember to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. And if you want to stay up to date on all my immediate thoughts and moves around the NBA, be sure to follow me on Twitter too. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.